Today we will discuss about the platyhelminthes, the topic of platyhelminthes. So you can see there are many previous year questions that have been asked from this particular segment, and the topics that are mentioned in the syllabus, they are platyhelminthes, the parasitic adaptation, the general features, life history of Fasciola tinea, and their pathogenic symptoms. So this is a holistic understanding of what we are going to study and how we will move forward with the topic. So you can see some previous questions, like there is this question about the parasitic adaptation in platyhelminthes. Then there are write down the different diagrams about the larval stages. So we need to know about the larval stages. Then the parasitic adaptations, again this has been asked many a times, and also about the life cycle. Is question about life cycle, pathogenicity. So this is there is also a question about Scolex. So we will discuss all these topics, and you can go back after reading this and practice these questions. So let's start with the general features. First of all, the platyhelminthes. The word platyhelminthes, platy means flat and helminths mean worm. So these are dorso-ventrally flattened. They are flatworms. Platyhelminthes are the flatworm. So these are dorso-ventrally flattened. Then the symmetry, they have a bilateral symmetry. The body can be divided into two equal halves along one axis. And then you will see that it has germ layers. It has three germ layers. It's triploblastic. It is triploblastic. There is presence of ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. So it has all the three germ layers. Then the body cavity, it is acoelomates. They do not have a proper or true body cavity. They are acoelomates. The level of organization is organ level of body organization. Okay, the organ level, you will find there are organs. There is excretory system, there is digestive system. So the organization is organ level of organization. The digestive system, it's incomplete. The mouth is present and anus is absent, or it is completely absent in parasitic forms. Then the circulatory system, it is absent. You can see some rudimentary system of circulation in it, but there is not a prominent heart or prominent vessels. Then the respiration, it is through the body surface. Diffusion, it is through the body surface. For example, this is the surface. There is this exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen, so it happens through the body surface. And in parasites, since they live inside the body of the host and the oxygen is not available inside the body, that's why they have anaerobic respiration in case of the parasites. Then the excretory system, it is through the flame cells. Flame cells are also called as a protonephridia. It is for excretion and osmoregulation. Then the nervous system, it is ladder type. Ladder type as in, for example, this is the cerebral ganglia. One structure which is formed by a complex and combination of the nerves. And then two main nerves will come down, which are lateral to the body, and then they have connections in between and they form a ladder like structure. So they have a ladder type with cerebral ganglia and they have longitudinal nerve cords. Then the sense organs, they have eye spots, they have tactile receptors, and tactile receptors you'll find in the free living forms. They are hermaphrodites. Both sexes are present in one individual. We will see in the case of the Taenia solium how it reproduces, how it carries on forward its generations. Then the fertilization, it's mostly internal. The development is direct or indirect, and many of them show the larval stages like Meracidium, Cercaria. The regeneration, they have high regenerative capacity, like planarians have high regenerative capacity. In aquatic forms, you will see there are these platyhelminthes. They exist in aquatic forms. They exist as endoparasites in host organisms. Then the mode of nutrition, they are free living. They form the carnivorous mode of nutrition. And in case of parasitic forms, they absorb the nutrients from the host. Then the parasitic adaptation, they include hooks, they include suckers, they include high reproduction, they have resistant eggs. So these are some of the parasitic adaptations. The planaria, they are free living. The fasciola hepatica, the liver fluke. Liver fluke is the fasciola hepatica. Taenia solium is the poke tapeworm. Schistosoma is the blood fluke. So these are some of the examples of the platyhelminthes. If you see the classification, if you see that this platyhelminthes, they have been divided into the three classes. So classification of phylum Platyhelminthes. You will see that they have been divided into three classes. First one is Turbellaria. These are mostly free living. They have ciliated epidermis, they have cilia on the epidermis, they have a simple digestive system and a simple nervous system. They are aquatic or mostly or moist terrestrial. They live in an aquatic or somewhere if on the land, but the land has to be moist. The body is soft and unsegmented, and they have cilia. Ventrally, they have cilia on the body. Ventrally, they have cilia on the body. So it includes planaria, it includes Dujacia. If you see, this is a diagram of planaria. These are all flatworms. This is a diagram of tapeworm, Taenia solium. This is liver fluke. So the Trematoda, second one is the Trematoda. These are parasitic flukes. They have suckers for attachment, and they have a complex life cycle. They are endoparasites and they are leaf shaped. The body is unsegmented and they have no cilia. And these include the Fasciola hepatica, Schistosoma. These are the example of Trematoda. Then Cestoda, these are basically the ribbon-like. Okay, they are ribbon-like. They are long. They have a scolex. We will study in the Taenia solium. These are intestinal parasites, and these are parasitic tapeworm. Tapeworm because they look like a tape. They are very long and they remain attached in the intestines. And the body is divided into proglottids. We will study what are the proglottids, what is the strobila. So this is the classification of the Platyhelminthes: Turbellaria, Trematoda, Cestoda. Now let's start with the Fasciola hepatica. Okay, let's discuss the general features of Fasciola hepatica. First of all, Fasciola hepatica, it's a digenetic endoparasite. Okay, it's a digenetic endoparasite. It's a digenetic, and it's found in the bile duct of the herbivorous mammals. It's found in the bile duct of the herbivorous mammals. Remember these little features. It causes the liver rot. Fasciola hepatica, also called as a liver fluke. Okay, it's also called as a liver fluke. If you will see closely the diagram of Fasciola hepatica, you will see that there is the small mouth, and then the body is leaf-like, completely a leaf-like body, and it's flat. It has an excretory pore at the end. There is presence of acetabulum. This is a sucker in it. It has oral sucker at the end, at the anterior end. There is oral cone, small cone-like structure, and the gonopore is just besides the acetabulum. That is, acetabulum is the sucker, and there is presence of gonopore. So it's dorsoventrally flattened. It's leaf-like. We saw it in the diagram, and it has two suckers. One is oral sucker, and another one is the acetabulum that is used for attachment mostly. The body is covered with a protective tegument resistant to the host enzyme. Since the life cycle, when we'll study the life cycle, we'll see that it has to be in the body of a host, and in order to protect itself, so in order to protect its body, protects its internal systems, it has to remain resistant. And how does it remain resistant? It is through the presence of the resistant protective tegument. It is hermaphroditic and it possesses both male and female reproductive organs. The eggs are operculated. Okay, they are operculated. For example, this is the egg. It will be operculated. It will have an operculum at the end. The digestive system is incomplete. No anus. There is excretory pore, but there is no anus, and respiration is anaerobic. Okay, anaerobic respiration. It's suitable for oxygen poor environments. There are flame cells for excretion and osmoregulation. The nervous system we saw earlier, it's ladder like. There are no sense organs because it's an internal parasite. It shows high fecundity. It means there is the it is the capability of producing thousands of eggs. The life cycle, it includes larval stages like Miracidium, Redia, Cercaria. We will see these larvae, the structure of these larvae. The intermediate host, its intermediate host is the freshwater snail. The infection occurs when the host ingests Metacercaria on aquatic plants, and it causes liver rot. Okay, it causes liver rot or fasciolasis in infected animals and humans. The tegument helps in nutrient absorption. So the tegument, it helps in the nutrient absorption. Its flattened body increases the surface area for absorption. It exhibits the molecular mimicry in order to evade the host's immune system, and it has evolved specialized adaptation. Okay, it has specialized adaptation that we have to study, the parasitic adaptation for survival in multiple hosts. So it has one intermediate host, it has to survive in the environment. So there are various modifications also. If you will see, this is the digestive system of liver fluke. There is anterior sucker, there is ventral sucker, and then this is the intestine, and these projections, these are the cecum. So this is a basic understanding of digestive system. You will see there is excretory system. These are all flame cells. They are connected to one excretory pore, as you can see. Let's also see the diagram of the flame cell in the this liver fluke. The flame cell, it is somewhat like this. Since flame cell, it is a cell, its nucleus, it has small cilia like structures, tubule, and it has cilia like structures. Then if we will see the parasitic adaptations, in case of the parasitic adaptations, the morphological adaptations, they include that they are dorso-ventrally flattened. The body is dorso-ventrally flattened. It facilitates the movement in narrow bile ducts and increases surface area for absorption. Okay, it increases the surface area for absorption when dorso-ventrally flattened. It is leaf-like. The body is leaf-like. It helps in the anchorage and movement in the liver tissue. There are suckers and tegument. The suckers are, there is oral sucker, there is ventral sucker. It is for the attachment to the host so that it can feed. So this is parasitic adaptation. The tegument, the body is covered by the tegument, I said, because it has to be in the digestive system or immune system in order to protect itself from the systems of the host. Then you will see that there are no specialized sense organs, because if it will remain in the digestive system, its sense organs will be very sensitive and they will get damaged. For example, it's not the eyes are not required in the dark internal habitats, so it has no specialized sense organs. At the same time, you will see the physiological adaptations. There is reduced or absent digestive system. The anaerobic respiration is there because of low oxygen or absence of oxygen in the bile duct. Then excretory system is with flame cell. They have efficient osmoregulation. Then the reproductive adaptation is that same body contains both the male and female body parts, and there is self fertilization. It increases the reproductive success in isolated environments. It has high fecundity, that is lots of number of eggs are produced, because when they enter into the free living environment there is possibility of damage to the eggs. Then complex life cycle, the larval stages include Miracidium, Sporocyst, Rhedia, Cercaria, Metacercaria. They have been designed in order to, they have a specialized system of dispersal, infection, survival. That's why different types of larva. We will see the structure of larva too. There is immune evasion, adaptation. For example, they secrete the immunomodulatory substances. These are the substances which inhibit the host's immune response. They have molecular mimicry. They mimic the host proteins in order to avoid the detection. Then they have tegumental renewal. Tegumental renewal means that they continuously shed the or regenerate the tegument in order to escape host defense. Then if you will see the life cycle of the this particular Fasciola hepatica, you will see that the eggs, so eggs, let's start with the eggs. The eggs, they are passed by the host. Okay, the eggs is passed by the host in the feces. Once the eggs have been passed into the feces, you will see that these eggs remain in the environment, and these eggs, they become embryonated in water and hatch. So embryonated, they become covered when they enter the water. When they enter the water, they will hatch. Okay, now they have hatched and they will produce this larva called as a miracidium larva. If you will see the structure of the miracidium, here you can see its body is leaf like. It is exactly like the Fasciola hepatica, but it has apical papillae. You will see that it has apical papillae. It has apical glands here. There are eye spots. There is presence of brain. There is cilia around the body. Okay, they have cilia around the body. It has penetration glands. Penetration glands are there. There is protonephridium or the flame cells inside the body. There are propagatory cells. There are small propagatory cells. So this is a protonephridia. These are the propagatory cells, and there are epithelial cells and cuticle. So this is what is being produced here. So Miracidia will get converted into sporocyst larva. Okay. Second is a sporocyst larva. You will see that the sporocyst larva, it has a cuticle around it. This will be converted into the sporocyst. Miracidium converts into sporocyst. And there is this cuticle. There are small muscles. Inside the sporocyst, there are Rhedia larvae, small juvenile Rhedia larvae. They have proper protonephridia, propagatory cells inside. There is epithelial cells, there are flame cells. So this is a structure of sporocyst. This sporocyst is converted into the Rhedia larva. In Rhedia, you will see that the body is spindle shaped. It's spindle shaped body. There are pharyngeal glands at the end. Pharyngeal. There is pharynx, there is mouth, there is muscular collar for movement. There is birth pore. From this birth pore, what will come out? The daughter Cercaria larva. Because these this Rhedia, they have small Cercaria larva. They have lappets. These Rhedia, they have lappets. So the Cercaria will come out of the Rhedia. Cercaria is like this. It is having a it's having a tail, and it is having a excretory duct and reproductive rudiments. There are cystogenous glands. There is ventral sucker or the acetabulum. There is esophagus. There is pharynx. There are intestines. So this is the whole structure of the Cercaria larva. Again, they have this flame cell. Now this Cercaria, you will see that the Miracidia converts into sporocyst, it converts into Rhedia, it converts into Cercaria. Then this Cercaria larva, you will see that this Cercaria, there are thousands of Cercaria produced. But let's see inside what happens. This Miracidium, it's in the water. Okay, this Miracidium, it will invade the snail. It will invade the limonid snail, and it acts as an intermediate host. Okay, it's an intermediate host. Inside the intermediate host, all the larval stages develop. Okay, from this the last larval stage, that is the cercaria. The cercaria will come out of the body of the intermediate host, and it will swim freely. Hundreds, and there are hundreds and thousands, and they will leave the snail. They will leave the body of the snail, and they will start encystment. The tail will be lost. You will see the tail will be lost, and there will be presence of this only the upper circular portion. There will be proper suckers, there will be this apical gland, there will be proper covering, flame cells will be there, and they will attach themselves to the grass, in the water, or somewhere in the moist area. Then this stage is called as a metacercaria. This metacercaria, when it has a strong upper covering over it, metacercaria has this covering, so that it gets protected from the harsh environment. But when the host, for example this is a sheep or a cow, it will ingest this metacercaria, will be ingested by the host, and it will mature into adult fluke in the liver of the host.